Fantastic. So I'm Lisa Kastner, and I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise Presses. And I am here with the amazing Lee, who is one of our fantastic authors. And we are going to go through a little bit more than 20 questions. So with that, what is the first book you remember reading?
Well, first, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate doing this. To tell you the truth, what I remember from the earliest days were Marvel Comics.
Oh,
And
cool.
that taught me a lot about how stories can be told and a lot of action and dialogue. It was very interesting.
Very interesting. And who is your favorite author?
I guess right now I'd have to say John Banville. He's an Irish writer who's published a lot of novels. It's beautiful. He does beautiful writing, and he may be up for a Nobel Prize someday. He certainly seems to think he's ready for it.
Awesome. And who influenced your writing?
There were two or three particular writers who really had the biggest influence a while ago. One of them was Robert Stone, who I studied with when I was at Amherst College, and another writer from out west named Thomas McGuane. They were both very good at depicting situations of Black comedy and very truthful in their storytelling. It made a big impression.
Excellent. Which books made the biggest impact on you?
I think a couple of them would be by those authors. One was Dog Soldiers by Robert Stone, which was written soon after the end of the Vietnam War, but mostly took place in America and was very strong about that. And Thomas McGuane's book, 92 in the Shade, was another beautiful book about Key West, Florida. And those had a lot of impact.
Excellent. If you could only read one book for the rest of your life.
Well, I think that would probably be the book that I end up seeming to read every year or so, and that's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John le Carré. I read it first many years ago on a train ride in northern Canada, and I thought it was just wonderfully written. And I go back to it almost every year. I think it's got a lot of depth to it, and I enjoy it a lot.
Fantastic. What book would you save in a book burning?
I guess my first instinct would be my own. Then after that, any first editions I might have, but I don't collect anything. So these days, everything can be replaced. I'd still like to take my own out.
Got it. And what inspired you to write this book?
I've always been interested in the Cold War and the politics and the struggle between superpowers. But I was also interested in telling a story about a man whose own self-worth, self-esteem leads him into trouble and causes his own downfall. And that's what I've done in Confessions of Gabriel Ash.
Excellent. And who did you allow to read this book while you were writing it?
Well, first is my wife, Maxine, but I'm also in a writer's group, and they've got to see it in bits and pieces, which is frustrating for both them and me, but there's no way other to do than to show them chapters or parts of chapters. But they were always very encouraging and told me to keep trying and to make it better. And their support was very important.
Oh, fantastic. If you were at a dinner party with 4 seats, what 4 authors or other people would you invite to your table?
I did think mainly in terms of authors when I was thinking about this. George Orwell, Don DeLillo is another favorite of mine. I'd love to meet him. There's a woman, short story writer named Tessa Hadley, who's often in the New Yorker. I think her work is wonderful, and I'd love to talk to her. And then another hero of mine who just died, Martin Amis, last week. I thought he was a wonderful writer and very sorry to see him go.
What is your drug of choice?
I guess that's coffee. Got to start the day with some coffee or things are not going to go well.
Got it. And what book is your guilty pleasure?
There's a series of mysteries set in England and around there called the Slow Horses series by Mick Herron. They were just made into a series on Apple Plus, I think. It's about spies who have who screwed up so badly in their job that they're all put in this place called Slough House, and they're all trying to get back into real world. But it's very funny and good fun to read.
Yeah, cool. And what movie or TV show is a guilty pleasure?
This probably dates me some, but there's a great classic movie called 12 Monkeys from many years ago. That's a wonderful story. Bruce Willis, you can watch it and rewatch it a dozen times. And I got to say, I like World War Z with Brad Pitt. Nothing scarier than fast-moving zombies where I come from.
There you go. Do you read with music or with quiet or with some other sound?
Quiet if I can get it. But I have a loud Siamese cat named Weasel who often wants some attention or food on a regular basis. We have a dog, but fortunately he doesn't bark. But then there's sounds from the street and whatnot. But I managed to get by. Quiet is the nicest way.
Cool. If you could ask for one thing to change the world, what would it be?
Well, at this point, I'm kind of so fed up with old white men telling the rest of us what to do, and particularly on the Supreme Court, that I think women should be in charge of more things more of the time. And we'll see that I think that would take us a lot farther.
Cool. And what does your reading environment look and sound like?
My wife and I live on the fourth top floor of a condo complex with a balcony that overlooks San Diego Bay. So we get to sit out there in the sun and when it's overcast from marine layers and look out on the water, the San Diego Bay, and it's just about the perfect way to do it. And with a glass of wine, then it's more than perfect.
Absolutely lovely. That sounds fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Paper, ebook, or audio?
Always paper for me.
Okay. And who would you cast as your main characters and why?
Well, I've mainly thought about Gabriel Ash himself, who's I would be thinking it's a man of something like Hugh Jackman, perhaps, or Daniel Craig, if I'm just kind of brainstorming ideas. But I think they would both be very good in that role.
Cool. If you could meet anyone, who would it be and what would you ask them?
That's a tough one. I think I'd like to meet Barack Obama, to tell you the truth, and not even ask him so much as just say, glad you were president. You gave us some sanity that we needed.
Describe yourself in 5 words.
Kind of private, driven, hopefully witty. That's 2 words, I guess. I'm an animal lover and a devoted husband. That's more than 5 words. Sorry.
No, I love it. And describe your life in 5 words.
I'm Southern California, wonderful wife, my dog Jake, and cat Weasel. That's it.
What was your last guilty pleasure? Food, activity, anything?
Having more of a chocolate tuxedo cake than I really should. I've got a weakness for anything chocolate.
That sounds lovely. If you could write yourself into a novel, would you be the hero or the villain, and why?
I'd be the villain. It's almost always more interesting than the hero. And as I learned a long time ago when I was doing some screenwriting, is that villains don't usually think of themselves as villains or as evil. And that was an important lesson to learn for fiction and movies.
Is there anyone you dream you could work with, and why?
Oh, the Coen brothers would be my choice. They are welcome to approach us about adapting the Confessions of Gabriel Ash for the big screen. I'd be happy to work with them.
And that would be a lot of fun.
That would be.
Is there, what animal would you run wild with?
I guess that would be Wild dogs, and wherever they might be, they're not around here, but they
Mm,
must be somewhere.
okay. And when was the last time you ran wild? What did you do and what made it wild?
I'm probably going to have to think back on that. Nothing comes to mind right now.
Okay, no worries. What's on your playlist?
Um, there's a group on YouTube that I've seen called Scary Pockets, and there seem to be a differing group of musicians, but the keyboard guy seems to be the steady one, and they do kind of very tight funk classic songs, Staying Alive and others like that. They are wonderful. I
Mm,
also like J.J. Cale and a lot of the older Rolling Stones too.
very cool. Um, do you write to music? And if so, what kind?
No, I like quiet when I'm writing. Music is later, those kind of things where you can rock out.
Cool. Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers, or something else?
Universal, sure.
Cool. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Appetizer or dessert?
Dessert always.
And technically, you already answered this, but chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, it would be chocolate. You can throw in a little vanilla, but chocolate primarily.
Okay. And is there anything else that you want to share?
Um, I lived with my wife for a year and a half in Ecuador and Cuenca a few years back, and that was a great experience. And since then, we've lived in San Diego for many years, and we really like our life here now. And I also just want people to take a look at the Confessions of Gabriel Ash. A lot of people are telling me they enjoyed reading it. Maybe you will too.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lee. And with that, have a fantastic night.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye bye.